The FSSAI, or the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which emerged from the woodworks thanks to the Maggi controversy, has managed to send the entire packaged foods industry into a state of panic and fear. Industry players and analysts allege that not only are FSSAI's rules unclear and ambiguous, but the approach of the regulator seems to have become somewhat tyrannical. The confusion has led to a state of flux, and the industry has withheld several product launches thanks to FSSAI's, rather authoritarian approach. So the question we're addressing is whether the FSSAI has become somewhat of a hunter instead of a regulator. Abhinav Trivedi with this rather incisive report.
Let's begin the story with a bet. I bet most of you hadn't heard of a body called Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, or FSSAI, until it ensured that a 30-year-old brand called Maggi was completely wiped out from shops across India due to alleged lead and MSG in the ingredients. But what is interesting is what has been happening since the Maggi crisis in the food processing market. Almost 50 packaged food products have been withdrawn from the shelves in the market, even without the food regulator's consent. The environment nurtured by the FSSAI has already provoked panic and fear within the industry. So much so that the industry alleges that FSSAI's approach is tyrannical and authoritarian rather than democratic. Such is the intensity that the industry body ASSOCHAM has written a letter to none other than the Prime Minister seeking his intervention on the issue. The industry players also allege that various clauses relating to packaging, labelling and product approvals remain unclear and are full of loopholes.
While initially it seemed that FSSAI has been quite vigilant about carrying out his responsibilities, and therefore when Nestle was found non-compliant, we probably felt that FSSAI actually is doing a good job. As it seems, after 4 or 5 weeks of this controversy, there is practically no clarification which has come from FSSAI to actually make public what they found was non-compliant, especially in the context of the same products or similar products have been found completely safe by countries such as Singapore, UK, Canada and elsewhere.
What happens is that, the way law is today, so you talk about PFA or FSSAI Act or whatever, currently the way it is, it's pretty broad and very subjective in interpretation.
The manner in which, for example, Hindustan Unilever has withdrawn its North Chinese noodles, okay, it means that there is some deficiency definitely, because they said that the noodles are not approved and so we are withdrawing. It means that there was some stopgap arrangement earlier, whereby even if your product is not approved or it is pending approval, you will go ahead and launch the products. So it means that there are many bottlenecks which are there in the entire system and process which need to be removed.
Let us now understand our food regulator. FSSAI was established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. It then took the government 5 years to form an official body called Food Safety and Standards Authority of India in 2011. In total, the food regulator has 82 accredited food labs for testing, out of which 28 are in North India, 25 in Western India, 24 in Southern India and only 5 in the eastern part of India. The anxiety among the industry players has further intensified after Nestle recently alleged in the High Court that the FSSAI labs were not equipped enough to test the food samples. This, coupled with the fact that FSSAI is low on manpower and resources, has only added to the negative sentiment in the industry. However, FSSAI refutes such claims.
Last year, a lot of import of alcohol was prohibited into India simply because FSSAI in its wisdom felt that the bottled scotch must actually disclose the various ingredients which go into that. There are similar controversies now seemingly emerging there. So net, the issue is like this, that India's food safety norms should be compliant with the best in the world. There is no doubt about it. there must be consistency with whatever the global standards are. At the same time, FSSAI testing laboratories have to also be of the same global standards as the norms are. You cannot have norms which are international in nature, and then you have the laboratory infrastructure or the quality of manpower infrastructure as far as the regulator is concerned, which is deficient in any way.
You cannot compare an organization which is less than 4 years old as on today, and we start comparing it with systems which have been in place for 50, 60, 70 years with very aware kind of consumers. Today I have taken consultants. One consultant is a retired professor from the Department of Food of Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Another consultant is from AgMark, who is with us. Yes, it is going to take some time to get the people, but all my technical officers are postgraduates and some of them even PhDs. I don't have regular resources, there is shortage of it. We are working on it, and till I get regular resources, I am managing my show by taking people on consultant basis or on contract basis.
The issue gets intensified further with the communication strategy adopted by the regulator. Industry players claim that the frequency of meetings between the stakeholders and the FSSAI is very less. Therefore, clarification is always on the back foot. Apart from this disclosure of brand names even before they are found guilty, taking cameras into shops while picking samples, and lack of specific clarity on subjects like advertising claims also add to the crisis.
Unfortunately, what is happening is that just picking up the product from the market, then issuing a press note that the product of so and so company has been picked up for examination, and that is really not good for the credibility of the product. That is not good for the industry per se, and the industry is suffering heavily on that account.
FSSAI, on the other hand, dismisses any of the above allegations.
FSSAI doesn't even have any staff to go into the shops or this thing. I don't have any team, I don't have a flying squad to do this kind of thing. It is the concerned food safety commissioners' outfits in the state which are supposed to enforce the provisions.
The CEO of the food regulator says that officials with camera barging into shops are out of the FSSAI's mandate and is executed by state authorities. The CEO of FSSAI also mentions categorically that the meetings between the food regulator and the industry are frequent, and that the regulator is open to discuss and debate any issues with the industry.
Let us take a look at the rate of rejection of food samples by the FSSAI since its inception. In the first year of its operation, that is 2011 to 12, a little over 12% of the food samples examined were rejected. In the second year, this rejection rate rose to 15%. In the third year of its operation, the rejection rate went up to as high as 19%. Let me also put on record that nobody in the industry we spoke to doubts the intent of the regulator. But with the increasing rate of rejections, FSSAI needs to ensure that it backs its rejections with authentic and credible research, data, and last but not the least, as the industry alleges, specific clarity of rules and norms. Unless that happens, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India will continue to be perceived as a hunter in the industry and not as a regulator.